There is something that lies in regards to the love of Ahlul Bayt. You can force somebody with their tongue to denounce. You can probably coerce somebody on their body to stop going for ziyarah. But you cannot stop the heart from loving Ahlul Bayt. And this is what Imam al-Sajjad said to Yazid. Allah has given us that which He has not given any other people. He has given us 6 things that He has not given other people. He has given us love within the hearts of the people. The more you oppress the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, the more staunch they become in their love. The more you wage war against Azadari, more and more people will stand up to do Azadari. Because this is a secret that is granted, and this is one of the lutuf of Allah granted within the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. These are the signs of a Deenul Haq. So you find that Ma'mun's back and he sees that all these years of oppression and waging war against Imam al-Baqir and Sadiq and al-Kadhim, this strategy hasn't worked. And Imam, who's been in imprisonment for over 20 years, his following is growing more and more. So you find that Ma'mun changes strategy. The strategy of the enemy was that if you cannot kill them by waging war against them, then kill them by befriending them. And this is a strategy that was used by Ma'mun, where he came to Imam al-Redha and he offers him to be the crown prince, yani the Wilayatul Ahad. Ma'mun sent members of the government to Medina to invite Imam al-Redha and to appoint him as the successor of the Khilafah. Ma'mun was at a desperate point of his political career where he required to gain legitimacy in the eyes of the masses. Ma'mun had a half-brother by the name of Amin. Their father Harun, La Rashid, killer of Imam al-Kadhim. Harun on his deathbed appointed Amin as the crown prince, the next in line, and Ma'mun second in line. He died. When he died, Amin, 18 days of rule, tried to depose his brother and put his son in place. And based on this war between these two half-brothers, a civil war broke out where Ma'mun became victorious and killed his half-brother, severed his head and hung the head of his brother on the gates of the palace. Ma'mun needed to have the thumbprint or the signature of Imam al-Redha on this government. On the only way he could do this is by appointing him as a crown prince. Imam al-Redha refused, obviously, and did not accept this position of crown prince until Ma'mun threatened him with death. So you find that the situation of Imam al-Redha over here is the same as the situation of Imam al-Mujtaba when he done the ceasefire with Muawiyah. In that, Imam al-Redha says, I had to choose between accepting the position of crown prince or between death. And for a ma'soom imam, the choice to either gain shahada or to live in the dunya, this choice is overruled by the fact, where is the maslihah of the deen? If the maslihah of the deen is in Imam al-Redha accepting shahada, then Imam would accept shahada. If the maslihah of the deen wasn't the Imam accepting this position of crown prince, Imam accepts it. And you find that when Imam accepted this position of Wilayat al-Ahad as the crown prince, he exposed Ma'mun for what he was. And that the first condition was that Imam al-Redha states, I accept this position, but I have nothing to do with the government. Meaning what? Position was ceremonial. Position had no significance. The fact that you have a crown prince who himself washes his hands from every function of the government, what is the point of that position? And through this, Imam al-Ridha made it very clear to the Islamic Ummah that this position is a ceremonial position made up only to find as a desperate move of gaining legitimacy within the eyes of the people. And you find that Imam al-Ridha, being under the seat of Khilafah or within the palace of Bani Abbas, he used his position of proximity to spread the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. And in fact, from one of the greatest achievements, and every achievement of Imam Ridha is great, but one of those greatest achievements was that Imam al-Ridha established the roots of Azadari from within the palace of the enemy. Majlis Azad that Imam al-Ridha established, such that he has this saying in regards to the day of Ashura and the killing and the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, where he says, Inna yawm al-Hussein akraha jufunana. The day of Hussein, yani our grief over Imam al-Hussein, due to our intense grief for Imam al-Hussein, akraha jufunana, our eyelids have become wounded. Speak to a doctor. Speak to an eye specialist. Ask him what must have happened to a person such that his eyelids are wounded. There is a term that is used for it where the nerves underneath the eyelid are torn due to intense weeping. You cannot even begin to imagine the excruciating pain. Talk about self-harm. Imam al-Ridha says, Inna yawm al-Hussein akraha jufunana. At one time he calls in De'bil, and he says to De'bil, these are the days of the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein. Will you compose poetry for us? De'bil comes in. He says yes. Imam al-Ridha had his companion seated by him. He asks his women to come in and he throws a parda across the room. De'bil begins to recite poetry. And he begins by mentioning the Masa'ib of Imam al-Hussein. He mentions the Masa'ib of Imam al-Hussein by remembering Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra. In these poems that have surpassed time, that have challenged time. The Rawi mentions that when De'bil recited this poem, Imam Ridha wept to such an extent that he fainted. And you find in this way Imam al-Ridha upheld the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein until Ma'mun was not able to bear the presence of Imam al-Ridha. He came towards, or he summoned Imam al-Ridha to the palace. Abbas Salt was together with Imam al-Ridha. They called him towards the palace. According to one narration, Ma'mun fed Imam al-Ridha with poisoned grapes. When Imam ate 2 of these grapes, he began to feel the poison, the effect of the poison in his body. The narration mentions that Imam al-Ridha stood up. He came out of the palace and his head was covered. He had his hand over his chest due to the intensity of the poison. Abbas Salt says, I followed Imam al-Ridha back into the house. He ordered me to close the doors and to leave him in isolation. Imam al-Ridha left to die while he is in ghurba, away from his family and away from his children. Abbas Salt says that the Imam lay down on the floor. Allah, why on the floor? Abbas Salt says to him, oh my master, may I lay out for you some cloth or some spread so that you may lie on it? Why is it that you lie on the gravel or on the sand? Imam al-Ridha says to Abbas Salt, my grandfather Hussein spent his final moments on the plains, on the sands of Karbala. I wish to die in the same way. Abbas Salt says that when I heard this, I knew these are the final moments of Imam al-Ridha. He was turning from the left side to the right side due to the intensity of the poison. Abbas Salt says, while I was in the main corridor waiting for the Imam and his order, I saw a young boy who resembled Imam al-Redha in his nur enter into the room. I said to him, "Oh boy, how did you enter the house when the doors were locked?" He said that I am the Hujjah of Allah, Ya Abbas. Do not ask me of how I have come from Medina. This was Imam al-Jawad who come to bid farewell and perform the final rites on his father. Abbas says when Imam al-Jawad saw his father on the deathbed, Imam al-Redha began to cry and began to hug his son. Imam al-Redha gave him the final wasiyah, appointed him as the Imam, gave him the Dhul Fiqar, he gave him the Aqiq, and then he said to them, "This is my final salam." Imam al-Redha stretched out his legs, he stretched out his hands, the sweat of death began to pour down his forehead. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The soul of Imam al-Redha left his body. Imam al-Jawad began to cry. He began to give the ghusl and the kafan to Imam al-Redha. I say to you, Ya Imam al-Jawad, how great is your musibah, but how great is the musibah of Sajjad when he came to bury his father Imam al-Hussein. Ya Imam al-Jawad, when you gave a ghusl to Imam al-Redha, his body was intact, but come to Karbala. Imam al-Sajjad says, when I came to bury my father on the plains of Karbala, whenever I tried to lift my father from the right side, the left side of the body falls down. When I lift my father from the left side, the right side of the body falls down. Allah, Allah, the enemies trampled on the body of Imam al-Hussein, breaking every bone in his body. Matam ya Hussein, Matam al-Redha, Ya Hussein, Ya Redha.